I have some extremely serious news right now that could forever change the way the United States of America operates. Because overnight, Donald Trump, the president of the United States, demanded that federal authorities across the country begin conducting illegal arrests, arresting individuals who burn the American flag, charging them with a crime, and enforcing a 1 year prison term essentially on these individuals. In a Truth Social post, Donald Trump writes, quote, to ICE, Border Patrol, law enforcement, and all U.S. military. As per my August 25, 2025 executive order, please be advised that from this point forward, anyone burning the American flag will be subject to 1 year in prison. You will be immediately arrested. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Now, folks, this statement is serious and brings up significant constitutional concerns for a number of reasons. Number one, burning the American flag is constitutionally protected speech. The United States Supreme Court, many years ago, ruled that individuals can burn the American flag and not be punished for it because it is protected under the First Amendment of the United States Constitution. It is a freedom that you enjoy. You can freely express yourself in that form without being punished. You can burn the American flag. That's issue number one. Issue number two, the president does not make law. Congress does. The president does not enforce law. The judiciary does. And so, or interpret law, the judiciary does. And so, here, Donald Trump is claiming that he created a new crime of flag burning, setting the punishment at 1 year in prison, federal prison, but he can't do that. Legally, Congress has to pass a law that makes flag burning a crime. Congress then sets the punishment for the maximum punishment for that crime. Then, if a person is arrested, the judiciary goes and decides whether or not that individual is sentenced to the sentence prescribed by Congress. Usually there's some leeway. The president of the United States only signs that law into law, that bill into law. He cannot do it via executive order. And yet he is giving an unlawful order this morning. And third, which is I think is the one that most people aren't touching, he not only said to ICE, Border Patrol, and law enforcement, he said to U.S. military. Right now, the United States military is operating on U.S. soil against American citizens. We know that. There are National Guard troops deployed in Chicago, in Portland, or soon to be in Chicago, troops in Portland, troops in D.C., troops in Memphis, right? Under the Posse Comitatus Act, U.S. military cannot conduct law enforcement activities. They cannot essentially act as the president's personal police force. They cannot arrest individuals for burning the American flag or for anything else unless there are extenuating circumstances concerning a government building or the personal safety threat of themselves. But even then, they can't arrest them and throw them in jail. They can detain them for a short period of time. And so the only exception to that is if there is a Insurrection Act invocation from the President of the United States saying that the U.S. military needs to conduct these arrests to prevent a rebellion or quell civil unrest, neither of which have happened. And there has been no invocation, at least that we know of, from Donald Trump. And so in this Truth Social post, in this order, he is ordering, as the commander-in-chief, the U.S. military to conduct arrests on American soil. That is a violation of the Posse Comitatus Act. That is a violation. And folks, if we don't stand up right now and call this out for what it is, illegal, unconstitutional, then it will continue to happen. And it'll continue to happen not just with flag burning issues, but when he goes after journalists like me, no one will be there to stop him. So make sure to please consider subscribing to support my work or sending a one-time donation via Venmo to Aaron-Parnas, because this is yet another attack on the First Amendment. And now more than ever, we need people who are willing to speak up and call it out for what it is. Illegal. And I will every single day. Now, in other news, an FBI agent was suspended after refusing to stage a public perp walk of former FBI Director James Comey. He was federally charged about a week ago, but he won't make his first appearance and he won't technically be arrested until October 9th. But they want to make a spectacle out of this. And while one FBI agent is saying no, and he was fired. Speaking about firings, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth has begun a purge at the United States Pentagon, abruptly firing the Navy Chief of Staff John Harrison, an unusually powerful aide who had reshaped Navy bureaucracy, following the confirmation of Undersecretary Hung Cao, marking the latest in a string of top Pentagon ousters under the Trump administration amid struggles with U.S. shipbuilding delays and internal power struggles with the Secretary of Defense. Veteran National Security Prosecutor Michael Benaray said he was fired after a pro-Trump commentator accused him online to ties of former Biden officials, warning in a farewell note that the Justice Department's leadership under Trump prioritizes punishing perceived enemies over protecting national security. Let's talk about Chicago for a second, because Kristi Noem was in Chicago overseeing Operation Midway Blitz, which is the ICE operation that has literally dragged children naked from apartment buildings, separating them from their mothers. She said she and her staff were denied access to the Illinois Municipal Building while seeking a bathroom break amid anti-ICE protests, sparking a political clash with J.B. Pritzker. She was very upset that she could not use a bathroom at a local government building, who refused to let her in because of the way the federal government is conducting itself on the ground in Chicago. Noem was asked about the NFL's choice of Bad Bunny for the Super Bowl halftime show, and she said, quote, "The NFL sucks," vowing, quote, "we'll win and God will bless us," while mocking the league as weak and promising, quote, "we'll fix it." FBI Director Kash Patel announced that the agency is cutting ties with the Southern Poverty Law Center, an anti-defamation league, after conservative backlash, marking a sharp break from decades of collaboration on tracking domestic extremism and hate crimes. Patel accused the groups of being partisan, citing their reports on right-wing movements, while critics warned that this undermines oversight amid rising extremism and anti-Semitism. The United States Supreme Court, in another 6-3 ruling, cleared the way for the Trump administration to revoke TPS, which is temporary protected status, for up to 600,000 Venezuelans. The decision overturns lower court rulings that blocked the move and could subject many to immediate deportation. The court's liberal justices, Sotomayor, Kagan, and Jackson, dissented, warning that the ruling endangers lives while the administration pushes to undo Biden-era protections that have been set to last through 2026. A federal judge has ordered an evidentiary hearing in the case of Kilmar Abrego Garcia after his lawyers presented sufficient evidence suggesting that he may have been vindictively prosecuted by the Trump administration. Folks, that's all the news this morning, but it is a serious morning update because the administration is actively encouraging unlawful and illegal arrests on U.S. soil, undermining the First Amendment once again in real time. And if we don't stand up and say enough is enough, it will continue to get worse. Like, comment, share, subscribe, and I'll see you this evening.